Fishing, for a lot of us, involves a cooler full of drinks, a buddy, and a heck of a lot of downtime. Waiting for that line to bite can feel like forever, and when we reel it in, all that tugging was just a laughable guppy. But for a select group of serious fishermen, the stakes get higher, real quick. On the morning of November 15, 2018, a fisherman set out for an early morning expedition in the waters off the coast of Australia. He paddled his kayak through the familiar waters, catching and releasing minuscule fish until something huge shoved him into the sea. It was 5 a.m., and fisherman Kyle Robert pushed off the shore at his usual stomping grounds on the Sunshine Coast in Queensland, Australia. The early morning waters were still, and the fish finder showed nothing more than the normal churn of the waves. Fishing on the open ocean meant Kyle was used to catches of prehistoric proportions. He wasn't afraid to pull a shark from a net with his bare hands. Honestly, this was a regular part of the job. This particular morning marked Kyle's 78th trip. He kept track for quality control and regular maintenance of his trusty vessel, the Hobie Revo 13 kayak. Once he paddled about a mile off the coast, he cast his nets and waited for the first bite. Nearly 10 minutes in, Kyle caught a small hammerhead shark. The tiny thing wasn't a choice catch, so he released it. Next, he paddled further out into the quiet ocean, hoping to attract a bigger fish. About 15 minutes later, Kyle still waited patiently for a sign of the big catch. With just his thoughts for company, there was no indication that anything was other than normal. No surface disturbance, not a bleep on the fish finder. That is until something crashed hard into the side of the kayak. With no time to brace, the kayak jerked to the left, sending Kyle flying. He spilled out into the open ocean with whatever knocked into the boat. His eyes and mouth instantly filled with salt water, and he searched frantically for the source of the upheaval. Vulnerable, his option was to retreat back to the kayak for fear of what lurked beside him in the water. He grabbed the overturned kayak for support, and a palpable sting of horror flooded his mind. He wasn't the only one clinging to the boat. Latched onto the underside was a massive shark. The muscled fish was at least 13 feet long, the same as Kyle's kayak. He watched in a panic as the vice-like jaws shredded the plastic side of his only means of survival. Predator mode fully engaged, the shark's upper body lifted out of the water. Kyle recognized the familiar stripes of a tiger shark, something he never imagined to see under life or death circumstances. He stared helplessly across at the animal's head and fins while he clung to the nose of the kayak. Seconds later, the shark released the side of the kayak. Its body rolled past menacingly, grazing Kyle's body with its side and tail. Thankfully, the kayak capsized once free of the shark's weight. Kyle scrambled on top, quickly pulling his tempting limbs out of the water. If he wanted to live, Kyle needed to act fast. He could see the bite marks peppering the bottom of the shell, so he jammed his fingers into the holes to prevent water from dragging the boat beneath the surface. Kyle thought through his options. His body wrapped around the curved underside of the kayak like Rose clung to the door and Titanic. Kyle knew he only had seconds before the shark returned for round two. With a mighty lurch and a prayer, he barrel rolled the kayak right way up. He climbed into the seat, and the tail of the kayak sank downward with the weight of the incoming water. In the tumult, the waterproof radio and paddle remained intact, so he pulled them close and scooted to the airborne nose end of the boat. Surfboard style, he scrunched his legs up inside the shell of the kayak's cockpit. Albeit feeble, it was the best chance he had to avoid losing a leg if the tiger shark struck again, despite the fact they were dragging at an angle below the water's surface. Thoughts of the worst kind swam through Kyle's brain. Still, he tried to shut them down, shifting his focus on breathing and making radio contact for help. Reassurance flooded over him when a yacht several hundred yards away confirmed they had him sighted. Before the yacht had time to make the rescue, a fellow kayaker, Josh Ball, heard Kyle's radio pleads for help. He paddled up beside Kyle and lent him a hand to climb aboard. Both men were taken to safety by a jet ski lifeguard. Rescue crews located the nose of the bobbing kayak and pulled it from the water. His hat had drifted down into the depths of the ocean, and Kyle tried to calm down while facing the reality that he could have easily been sinking down with it. According to the Australian shark attack file, there were 4 documented attacks so far in Queensland as of July 2019, accounting for half of all the shark attacks in Australia so far this year. Yet, somehow, Kyle didn't even need a band-aid. He escaped physically unscathed, though he'd never forget the terror of his brush with death, nor the overwhelming gratitude for his rescuers. Sheer seconds meant he narrowly avoided the fate of fish food. Aussie fishermen accept the danger and risks associated with navigating the seas, but life-threatening creatures crawl, creep, and infiltrate every corner of the intense landscape. Any Australian can open a door and scream at the sight of one of their many native animal nightmares. Now let's see such 20 event happen previously. 1. These boutique owners calmly removed a huge python from their store. Maybe it was shoplifting? Either way, they probably didn't have anything in stock that was size extra long. 2. Nice try, Edward Cullen, but these critters have officially made vampires scary again. Known as flying foxes, they are among the largest bats in the world. Fortunately, they don't hunt anything larger than insects. 3. These rare bugs are known as tree lobsters, but you probably wouldn't want to eat one for dinner. Hey, at least they're friendly enough to shake hands. Trying that with regular lobsters tends to be much more painful. 4. This slimy spider must be going through its goth phase. Even without the skull perched in front of it, we sure wouldn't want to walk face first into the spider web. That would be far from a day. 5. Even the sheep in Australia are wild. One farmer had a ball staging this photo, though who can say how much his oven friend enjoyed it. But where there's a wool, there's a way. 6. Australia is filled to the brim with crocodiles, but you likely already knew that, thanks to Steve Irwin. These folks had the good sense to not leave their protective tank when swimming with this monster. 7. Yes, that is a full-size garbage can. Our friend hanging off the side is a coconut crab, the largest species of crab in the world. They're so large, in fact, that they even hunt birds on occasion. 8. Australia is famous for its ostriches, but who knew they were so photogenic? Maybe those giant birds should spend less time with their heads buried in the sand. 9. Look, but don't touch. This pretty fish is the blue-ringed octopus, and it has a venomous bite that makes it one of Earth's deadliest animals. Scientists estimate that one of these octopuses carries enough poison to kill 26 humans within minutes. 10. You could catch some serious fish with that bait. If you can find a big enough hook, that is. These giant earthworms live for years and can reach up to 9 feet in length. 11. This marbled cone snail is bad news. Not only does it look like it's smoking a tiny cigarette, but its sting also causes fatal respiratory muscle paralysis. Protect your lungs. 12. Floods are nasty on their own, but this deluge in Australia brought in a bull shark to this neighborhood. We can only assume that later this afternoon this shark swam off to fight some jets. 13. Move over, tiger. The new golf superstar is a snake. It's a fair bet that not too many golfers were eager to hit hole-in-ones once they knew this guy was waiting for them. 14. What's so scary about a shiny puddle? Well, that just happens to be a giant jellyfish that washed up on a rocky beach. You sure wouldn't want to go swimming in that water. 15. We'd like to extend a hearty congratulations to the electrician who didn't check on this meter and quit on the spot. This spider nest would be enough to make a lot of people renounce technology altogether. 16. Why does it always have to be snakes? This diver who found a giant anaconda should count himself fortunate that he didn't wind up as an appetizer in that monster's belly. 17. This looks like the before and after in a weight loss infomercial. In reality, these are 2 Australian ticks, except the one on the right is filled to capacity. To really rub salt in the wound, this species also injects toxins into their host as they feed. 18. Anybody home? Eric Holland nearly lost it when he found this giant lizard climbing up the walls of his New South Wales home. Rather than trying to slay this dragon, Mr. Holland wisely ran away. 19. This bad boy is as dangerous as it is ugly. The stonefish is one of the most venomous sea creatures in the world, and they blend in perfectly with the ocean floor. Many Australians wear shoes in the water just to avoid their poisonous barbs. 20. They're gonna need a bigger boat. This swarm of soldier beetles has invaded the pole of this ship. That's one prize that these fishermen certainly weren't hoping to catch.